This video is brought to you by Squarespace. If you need a website or domain, go to squarespace.com. Hey everyone, and welcome to a new video. Auto ISO is one of the smartest features ever added to modern cameras. I use it all the time, as do many other professionals. But it's also one of the most misunderstood. Some photographers won't touch it at all because they don't trust it. Others leave it on all the time without really understanding what it's doing. In this video, I'll explain exactly how Auto ISO thinks, when it's brilliant, when it makes mistakes, and how to make it work for you in the field. If you stay till the end, I'll explain how to avoid the camera chose too high an ISO problem. My name is Simon D'Entremont and I'm a professional nature and wildlife photographer living in Eastern Canada. I make weekly videos giving you photo tips or taking you behind the scenes for nature photography. Subscribe if you want to see more. Okay, first off the basics, what is the ISO setting in your camera? Contrary to popular teachings, it doesn't make your sensor more sensitive to light. It changes the brightness of an already captured photo. Along with shutter speed and aperture, it's one of the 3 settings on your camera that you can manipulate to change the brightness of an image. Now what's Auto ISO? Well, this is where you relinquish the setting of the ISO to the camera. Now some people think that the camera is asking what's the best ISO for this shot. That's not always quite right. It's actually asking, given the light meter setting, what ISO setting do I need to reach the target exposure? That's right, modern cameras have a light meter and cameras are programmed that a photo should have an average brightness of medium gray, also called 18% gray, or a gray that reflects 18% of light. So when you move your shutter speed or aperture settings, which change how much light is reaching the sensor, or the amount of light changes in the scene, the ISO goes up and down to keep the light meter in the middle at 0. In full manual, you would change the ISO manually up and down to get the photo the right brightness. In Auto ISO, the camera does it for you, almost instantly in thousandths of a second. When scenario settings and the amount of light in the scene are changing constantly, this is a huge advantage to be able to move quickly. So here I am in my living room. Notice that the light meter is showing 0, properly exposed. Now when I change the shutter speed, this changes how much light is reaching the sensor. So the image should get brighter and darker, but it doesn't. The camera is changing the ISO automatically to compensate and keep the light meter at 0 and the image the same brightness. Now if I change the aperture up and down, again the camera still adjusts the ISO up and down to compensate and keep the image properly exposed. And finally, if the brightness of the scene changes, like me pointing the camera outside, again the ISO will be changed to keep the scene properly exposed by lowering the ISO down to 100 in this case. So the role of Auto ISO is to change the ISO to keep the photos properly exposed even as the scene brightness changes or aperture and shutter speeds change. The whole goal here is to free up the photographer from worrying about it, and you just go about changing the other settings as you see fit or working under different lighting conditions, like partly cloudy outside for example, without needing to be always changing the settings on every shot. Now what I just showed you was using manual with Auto ISO. I could change the shutter speed and aperture and the camera changed the ISO. Now what about the other popular modes, aperture and shutter priority? In shutter priority, you change the shutter speed and the camera sets the aperture, but it's also controlling the ISO. So what's the decision hierarchy here? So as I lengthen the shutter speed, the camera will lower ISO as it can, but once it goes down to ISO 100, the lowest it can go, it'll make the aperture smaller, a higher F number to keep the exposure correct. If I raise the shutter speed, the camera will open up the aperture as much as it can and keep the ISO low for as long as possible. Once it can't anymore, it will raise the ISO as needed. Now this is on my Canon camera and I think most brands operate the same way, but there may be exceptions. I'd like to thank the sponsor of this video, Squarespace. I built my own website using Squarespace and it was a breeze. A website is just a great way to have a professional place online where you can show off your work, your service, or your brand. Social media are often showing you or your work in short clips or thumbnails and sometimes makes it difficult to monetize as most of them don't want links to external sites. A website is a permanent home for you and your work or your brand, presented in galleries or on pages designed by you that show them off at their best. There are lots of useful templates, including ones for specific genres like photography, which is mine, or if you're more daring and artistic, you can go outside the templates using the new AI feature called Squarespace Blueprint to help you personally curate your own build. It's also a great way to monetize your work by setting up an online store using Squarespace Payments, where you can take payments by credit card or PayPal from all over the world. And now with the new added feature of buy now or pay later with ClearPay and Afterpay. Go to squarespace.com to sign up for a free 14-day trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/Simon for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. And now in aperture priority, what happens with auto ISO? This is where many modern cameras get a bit smarter. Now with my 24-70 f2.8 lens, as I make the aperture smaller, the shutter speed can be increased to let in more light. Because shutter speeds can be lengthened almost indefinitely for static targets, for example, or on a tripod, the ISO can stay at 100. But in real life, we don't always use a tripod and our subjects aren't always static. What to do? Well, many cameras have a solution to that. Minimum shutter speeds. You see, a good rule of thumb is to have 1 over your focal length for a shutter speed, so 1/50th for a 50mm lens. So on my camera, a Canon R5 Mark II, under ISO speed settings, I can manually set a minimum shutter speed I don't want my camera to fall under. I can do it manually, or I can set it to auto, where it will pick a minimum shutter speed appropriate for the lens on the camera. So on my 24-70, it doesn't go under 1/60th of a second. Note that on my camera, I can adjust it to favor going a bit lower than the 1 over focal length rule, or a bit higher. But now when I change to my 600mm f4 lens, the behavior changes. I start off wide open at f4, it gives me 1/800th of a second, ISO 5000. Now why not a lower ISO? Because with a 600mm lens, it knows that the shutter speeds that are too low will impact image sharpness, as you need more shutter speed for sharp photos with longer focal lengths. But once it hits my maximum ISO at 51,200, only then will it start lowering my shutter speed. By the way, if when in shutter or aperture priority you notice the aperture or shutter speed settings blinking, that means you've adjusted it as far as it will go. It's a reminder to try some other technique or adjust the other settings. Now you can adjust how these shutter speed minimums are set and managed in many camera brands. Here's a number of camera brands and where you might find these settings. Note that even in the same brand, this may change from camera to camera. Now, does auto ISO have limitations? Yes. First, your ISO can't go under the base ISO, like ISO 100 on many cameras, or even extend it down to 50. If you change your settings such that the needed ISO to properly expose the photo is less than 100, you can't go any lower, so your photo will be overexposed. Add shutter speed, for example, to darken the image in this case. The opposite is also true. If you choose your settings such that an ISO above what the maximum allowed would be needed, your camera can't get the exposure bright enough, so your photo will be underexposed, too dark. Lower your shutter speed or open up the aperture to get your image brighter in this case. Also, your auto ISO is dependent on your light meter, which is always trying to keep the average brightness at 0 or medium gray. But it's not perfect. If you throw some bright highlights into the scene and it's trying to keep everything at 18% gray, for example, you may have a problem. The classic example would be a bird flying overhead against a bright sky or someone against a setting sun. They'll end up underexposed. Now let's look at how this works. If I change the framing on my little owl buddy to include some of the bright light from outside, the auto ISO lowers the ISO to get the average brightness to medium gray, but my subject is too dark. What to do? Exposure compensation to the rescue. Look for this little symbol next to the light meter or on your back LCD, or program a handy dial to adjust it. What exposure compensation does is it allows you to tweak the settings the camera used in case they're not doing the job you want. So in this case, I can move exposure compensation to the right to add exposure, that is to brighten the image so the subject is properly exposed. Now let's tackle something I hear all the time. I don't use auto ISO because it chooses too high an ISO. No. Actually, no. Let's look at my little owl buddy again. ISO 640 with the current settings. But let's say I was out in the woods with a real owl and I wanted 1/1600th of a second in case it flew, and I wanted f9 for deep depth of field. That gives me ISO 25,000. Is it the camera's fault the ISO is too high? No, it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. The fault is mine. The lesson here is most of the time when someone says the camera chose too high an ISO, it's that the photographer chose shutter speed settings and aperture settings that weren't appropriate for the amount of light that was available. It wasn't the camera's fault, it's the photographer's. Now what to do about this? Well, let's set up the camera to put guardrails up against our mistakes. Most cameras allow you to set a maximum ISO setting when in auto. On my Canon R5 Mark II, ISO speed settings, and I set 12,800 for a full frame camera. I use 6400 on crop sensor cameras. That may still be a bit noisy, but I'd rather get the shot. I can clean up the noise in processing. Here's where you can find that setting on other popular brands. If this talk about exposure compensation has you intrigued and you'd like a deeper dive, I have a whole video about that right here. If this video is deserving, give it a like so YouTube will show it to other photographers looking to improve their craft. And I hope that you can use these tips on your very next outing so you too can come home with your own unique and amazing photos. I know you can do it.